proud to see this kind of gathering, the things that you've seen today. It's really kind of nice. You know, no fear, Alice. Anyway, I thought a lot about what they talked about the family. It's hard to do, but you know,
Hey, what's up? You break it? 1, 2, 3, Uncle Dick. 1, 2, 3.
I'm not even drinking yet either, tell you. That's really bad.
Were you talking about childhood, wasn't it, Dick?
They weren't labeled.
We were talking about childhood earlier.
But they have cats and dogs on them when they're
No, I don't need them. Anyway, you know, there's a couple of us that aren't here anymore, and I just wanted to say a couple words, and I'm talking about Linda. And the things that you know about Linda, she would have enjoyed this. Dave, her kids, it was really wonderful. A couple of things that people didn't know about her, she liked mothballs. You know, I can remember being about 16 years old, Billy coming in the house, Mary screaming, she's eating mothballs. Linda, so we had to drive her to Saratoga Hospital and to get her stomach pumped. Unreal what she didn't do. But if you knew her, you knew she would do anything for anybody, especially her family, and she loved her family better. But another thing she did for us, she used to babysit for Edna and I with the kids. And Edna was working either afternoons or what. For some reason, she'd come over after school. And one day I came home from work, and there's the stove all blown wide open. She was baking something, I guess, and she turned the gas on, and then all of a sudden walked away, and then turned it on and blew the oven apart. She was something, and she was really worried about it. But she was special. And if you really think about her, I think about her and the girls, all four of them together. If you want to remember what they did, you could see going to school in the morning, going to St. Raymond's, all in their uniform. Old Hitler Mary would sit there and say, who's got my blouse? Which one of you guys? And then they would argue about who would walk with Linda to school. Because Linda was a peanut. She was a small one, and she couldn't walk as fast as the rest of the girls. I can remember that like it was yesterday. I got to say a couple words about David. Juanita, Catherine, DJ. David was probably the hardest worker of the family. David could do anything, whether he could do it or not. He would say he could be an electrician, and he'd be an electrician. Sometimes the wires didn't work, but it was fun. He was a metal finisher at the Bud Company, and they used to send him to Ford and Chrysler because he made friends with everybody, and he would soothe the customer and tell everybody just exactly, oh, don't worry, we'll take care of it. And he didn't know what he was talking about, but they liked it, and it worked out good, and they were real happy with him. And one thing that happened with David when he was a little boy, I can remember, I was probably 16 or so. The girls come running in. She said, you ought to see David's foot. And somebody come in with him, hauling him in. And he had cut his foot in the arch. It was wide open. I mean, huge. And he didn't crack a smile, didn't cry or nothing. And all I could see was blood. And had to wrap him up, take him over to Saratoga again, and had to get him stitched up. He was a trip, let me tell you. The one thing I have to say about David, anybody that knew him, his smile was contagious. He could laugh and do anything. And if you've seen David, it was just amazing what he wouldn't do. You couldn't help but like the guy. I got one here that I wrote down for Joe. get into Frank. Joe was the oldest of the family, and him, Judy, and the kids, Allison, Jody, things that he didn't do. Joe was the smart one of the family. He always had A's and B's in school. Well, you are
I got
too.
kicked out of St. Raymond at the first grade.
I think your second name was Alec. So, anyway, Joe, without a doubt, he got smart in the 8th grade. He decided he's going to be a priest, and he went to Mount Calvary, Wisconsin, and he was there for about 2 years, 3 years, and he decided that wasn't for him, and he come back, went to school. He worked at a place, a jeweler, and after school. And I always remember at Christmas time, he come home with a watch from Mom. And Ma took it. We all went to midnight mass together. We had to go to church, whether you liked it or not. And halfway through the mass, Ma started getting mad. The watch was turning green. She went home and told, "Oh, Joey, where the hell did you get this watch?" He says, "Dick told me to buy it." I tell you, he was smart. Yeah. I can remember going to Joe's house when he lived in LaFeir, and it was in the middle of winter, and ice was frozen all over, and he wanted to take everybody out on his snowmobile, and pulling them with a pair of skis. And he took us all out there, and he got a big thrill out of dumping us all. I mean, he just laughed, and it was his sense of humor. It was very dry.
And how many lost their wallets?
Oh,
Their glasses.
yeah, he was without a doubt smart, and he just ended his life too soon. It was too bad. He built that house in Manistee, and he built it with David. David and him built it together. Joe standing there watching David. So it was a great.
They had to have a supervisor.
Yeah, well, he did, and it worked out cute. It was good.
You know, Joe was, we talk about barcoding now. Joe was one of the original designers of barcoding. You know that. I don't know if anybody knows this, but Joe, we all know what barcoding is.
Yeah.
But Joe was one of the original designers of barcode.
The arm wrist one.
Before it was even in existence, before anybody used it.
Yeah.
And there's been several articles written on him.
Yeah.
So he was the smartest.
Do you ever see in the grocery store or
We got a doctor
like
in the family
Walmart,
now.
they walk around and
Joe.
call it a barcode or it was a band that fit on your hand. It was
Yeah, Joe designed that.
That's what he worked on, and he designed it for.
It was symbol technology. It was in the Smithsonian 1 year.
Yeah, Allison said that it was in the Smithsonian for 1 year in there because of the design and stuff of that. And from there, I'm sure people have expanded on it. He was really accomplished a lot. So. Oh.
Our brother Jim.
In case anyone gets sick, we have a doctor in the